That should probably work.
All right. Welcome to the Cooper Lyden Hour, the super duper Cooper Hour.
Is this one about me?
Yeah, this is the
Woo!
Yeah, we're doing all Cooper all the time on the second episode.
That's like the thing. It's like 24 hours of Cooper.
Yeah. Well, if you like this episode, check out Cooper's other podcast where it's just Cooper.
Right.
I'm gonna try to keep this all to myself, all my thoughts to myself today.
That would be awesome if, like, the way this podcast worked out was that people tuned in, watched 5 minutes, and were like, "Man, this is good." But what if there is a whole hour of just Cooper?
Yeah.
And then I just get like, and our podcast would have billions, but they would only watch 5 minutes of one episode.
5 minutes is good.
Like each episode gets a new viewership of like 5 million people, and like 4,500,000 of those people just end up going to my podcast.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "Man, I love it. It's like so much less energy.
Yeah.
And there's like, it's really not funny because he's not playing off anything. He's just talking."
They're just like, what we didn't like was the chemistry. We hate chemistry.
Yeah, no, him and that other guy, they're like pretty good friends, and they kind of riff well, and that gets old quick.
Oh yeah, laughing.
What's
you
better?
Think I want to tune into a podcast to laugh?
Yeah, what's better is full Cooper.
Yeah,
all the time.
The full Cooper experience.
I should just, I don't know.
I like the parts of the podcast where Cooper talks about comedy for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I've been doing that lately. It's crazy.
Lately, as in the first episode?
Yeah. Well, no, that, and then on my podcast that I do with just me, I've been like allowing myself to speak about comedy.
Yeah.
And I rewatched the first episode, and I was saying a lot of stuff that I was like, I am not getting it across that I think I'm a loser.
Oh, yeah.
And know that I'm not successful.
Well, one thing that everyone who's watching any podcast needs to know, anyone pursuing any form of entertainment is a loser, because that's some loser shit to do.
Well, but some of them are really successful and can talk about it, but I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I can't talk about comedy and the business of it.
Isn't it funny people listen to like Jim Norton talk about banging hookers and they won't think, this is a fucking loser?
Well, I mean, no, they don't, because he has a freedom in his life. As he makes money off of broadcasting and comedy, two things he loves, and he also enjoys sex work, and he goes and gets it. So it's not really a life you can fault, I would say.
I mean, you could fault back like the 15 years of his life where he wasn't a successful broadcaster.
Sure, but now can you? Because he made it. So then all those 15 years were actually good because they were in the process of becoming a success. It wasn't a waste.
Yeah. Do you think back in like 15 years, if we make it, people are going to be like, yeah, so when Shane shit all over the side of Cooper's toilet bowl, that was worth it?
Yes.
People are going to be talking about all the shits I took in my friends' houses because my place didn't have toilet paper today, and they're going to be like, that's what's up. That's the bohemian lifestyle.
Well, you know, the dreamer in me realizes that's the most exciting thing about this, is that we're in my apartment right now recording this podcast where you left skid marks on the bowl after you asked if you could take a shit here, which I said yes to. And
you did not agree to the skid marks part.
On the off chance that this became successful, there could be a guy out there in the world that's going, man, I would kill
to lick the side of your toilet bowl.
To be in that apartment, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, this is sad. Like, we're both losers. This is a studio apartment. This podcast is most likely never going to get off the ground.
Oh, absolutely. But we haven't even released an episode yet. This is the second episode. We haven't released it.
But if it did get off the ground, then this place would be transformed the same way the garage where they invented the computer was.
Or the garage where Mark Maron invented the WTF podcast.
That is more apt.
Yeah.
That is better. I shouldn't compare our podcast to inventing the first desktop.
Yeah. We could compare it to, like, Thomas Edison.
We could compare it. Honestly, no, I think it's really just we could compare it to another podcast.
Yeah.
Which, now that you say it that way, it's not.
This really is not cool.
No, I mean, I didn't think it was cool to begin with.
My roommate tried to make the argument that's like, some people would think you're not a loser, and I shut it down completely. I was like, no.
What do you mean?
I was like mad about it.
like some people actually could be fans of this, and you shut it down?
Yeah, I was like, no, not even this podcast. He was like, some might say you're at the point where you're not a loser, and I was like mad about it.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I do. I feel like people misunderstand when I say I'm a loser. Because I was at the comedy store, and I was like in a conversation, and I was talking about something, and I was like, yeah, I mean, we're all fucking losers. Like, we're not successful. And then, like, a few comics who were, like, also, like, door guys. And one of them was a paid regular. But nobody was, like, super famous or rich or anything. And they're like, well, I'm not a fucking loser. And I was like, no, the way I'm saying it is, like, you are now. I don't think you will be in the future.
Yeah.
Because you are in the process of becoming something great. The people I was saying that to. But also in their heads, they're like, well, no, I'm not a loser now either. I'm a pre-successful person.
It's such loser mentality to be like, I don't have to work because I have a God-given gift.
Oh, well, yeah, that's not what they were saying, but that's a whole...
But I think that's what everybody deep down believes. But it's also just like a defense. It's like a psychological defense.
Well, I think everybody does have some sort of gift of their own, whether it's like just being really nice and being good with people or being really good at an art. I just also don't think that would make you I don't think it makes you special.
Absolutely.
I think it makes you different than another guy, but it doesn't like guarantee a career.
Well, if you take any mechanic,
I assume
most
once again,
mechanics,
not trying to talk about comedy like I understand it.
Yeah.
I almost got there, and I want to shut that down right now.
Yeah.
I will never make it.
Cooper will never make it.
I want to let everybody know.
Welcome to the Shane Bianchi Power Hour podcast.
I want this podcast to be successful and for you to make it.
Yeah, and this is very charitable of you.
I want you to make it.
This is very humanitarian.
And me to not. To where, like, it's like this podcast has, like, a whole lot of viewers, and you go out on the road, and you start doing, like, small theaters, which for us is...
I was kind of hoping for, like, a... who's an example of the second guy on the podcast that people like, but they don't respect?
Well, that's not a thing in podcasts yet.
I feel like there is.
Well, I mean, producers...
Yeah, but there's like second mics that people are like, hell yeah, we like that guy, but
yeah, we
don't respect him like we respect the other guy.
Well, a lot of producers become that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, like Steve-O's podcast is interesting. He has like two guys, one of which is a producer, and one guy, I think his name is Chad. I don't know. He's like I think he might do stand up, but he's just kind of there. And sometimes you don't know he's there for like 15 minutes. Where, like, Steve-O will just be talking to his guest, and then he'll start speaking, and then the camera pans over, and there's a whole other guy there.
Oh, shit.
So he's there, and he's a likable guy. So that would be it. But no, I think you're talking more about, like a Conan Andy thing.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
But even Andy, like, is successful enough, like, I bet, I don't know if he does.
Andy had a sitcom that everyone says is good.
Yeah, so, like, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about, like, this podcast is successful. You start getting successful. You sell like 2,000 tickets in like the Midwest in a small theater, and it's like
that's the dream.
And it's like great, and then it only gets better. And then meanwhile, I like literally I can't even get like booked on like I've been fired from the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Like I can't like somehow all the success of the podcast is leading to like nothing for me.
I feel like this is a point that's already been made, but isn't it funny to move to LA? And like when you make it, you just have to go to places that are colder. It's like I got to go to places that are colder than Los Angeles, which part of the reason I moved here is because it's not cold.
Totally. But yeah, I mean, you get to live here year round. It is weird being from this area because whenever I do comedy on the road, and this is, of course, biased, but also sometimes just feels objectively true, is I get the chance to do comedy on the road, which I feel so thankful for, but it also means every time I'm flying to a worse place.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm almost never flying to a place that is, I find, equally as enjoyable as Los Angeles.
I mean, when you go to Chicago's a better city.
I'm thinking if I go to Chicago, and I like New York in small doses, I can appreciate the differences there. Even then, I still miss LA, but at least in those cities... In those cities, I have the feeling of at least, like, I am in a city. I'm in a place that can sustain itself.
The only other city I would say is even comparable that I've been to is Atlanta.
I was thinking you'd say that. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of great, fun places you can go. It's just it's surprising the amount of places where comedy clubs are that there's almost nothing else.
Cincinnati's a good city.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a good comedy city.
That's the thing. It's like I'm sure there's a lot of places that are very fun to be in.
Yeah,
but it is very funny to be like, all my dreams are working out.
If you're listening to this and you're living in the Midwest, just move to LA or New York. That's the point we're getting at here.
No,
I think that's what we're trying to say.
No.
If you live from another place, we'll come to your house and we'll burn it down, and then you have to move to LA or New York. We'll go to your $100,000 house. And we'll burn it down.
No, because they have everything they need. I don't think they should come here.
You don't think so?
No.
You think if you're happy and you're in like a good space and you don't need to live in a place that's everybody is mean, and I don't know why that was my switch.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Why would you go from that to mean? That's really mean.
It's not even mean.
That's mean.
People here aren't even mean. I don't know why. I just was like, what's another negative thing I could say?
Yeah, that's mean to. That really speaks a lot about the use of that word. That word, which Shane has decided he doesn't want to say. I guess at least
it's part of the no slurs policy.
On this episode. I don't know if it's.
I mean, eventually we're gonna drop. Eventually we're gonna drop everything we stood for.
I think it is. I think that really speaks a lot about the use of the R word, though. That it is truly just such a negative connotation.
Oh, yeah,
that you're like, what can I sub in for it? Mean. They're the least mean people in the world. Have you ever met a guy with Down syndrome?
Yeah, I've met them. They actually can be mean.
They can be. I'm not trying to be hacky here and be like they're happy all the time. They're definitely not. But I will say they make you feel very good.
Sometimes.
Like my friend.
If you're in high school, though, it's like when all your interactions with those people are just like, can I get them to say some cusses?
Yeah. Did you have people with Down syndrome in your high school?
Yeah, duh.
I did not. I remember there were kids with issues, but I don't remember really.
We had probably about 4 or 5. We had like a special needs. I remember one time a kid stole like $500 from the special needs class.
A special needs kid did?
No, like just a regular student.
That makes sense.
It's so funny to just like to steal, and then you're just stealing from the people that need it.
It's a cool freedom to be 15 and not know how evil that is.
Oh yeah,
you just think you're like I'm hitting the.
There's
lick.
$500.
There's $500 here. What else am I supposed to do? I'm 15.
Yeah.
So that we didn't.
Did you ever steal from like the school?
No, I never even considered an opportunity for that arising.
Well, you could steal shit from because I remember one time our vending machines were broke. Okay. So we would just steal shit from the broken vending machines, and then they brought the police, and then we were all like, I don't know what that security footage is talking about.
They brought you into the office and showed you footage of you stealing from a vending machine?
Yes. And it's like,
what?
I'm going to get arrested for this?
Yeah, it doesn't.
For stealing crackers?
Well, that's one of those things where you're like, listen, I understand I did technically steal and you're technically angry.
Yeah.
But it's also like, why'd you bring me in here? What's going to happen? What did happen?
Nothing.
Right?
Nothing
They just
happened.
Did they even tell your parents?
No.
Huh.
They didn't tell any. They just brought us in here to interrupt my English class, which we weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
The school system in the South is just coaches will just be like, read Animal Farm, and then all the kids will be like, we ain't reading shit that's got animals talking in it. That was the big controversy, is people would raise their hand and be like, why are we reading this? We're not babies.
Animal Farm?
Yeah.
They just didn't understand that.
They didn't understand it was an allegory.
They thought it was like Charlotte's Web.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. And then they read Charlotte's Web, and they're like, I'm a communist now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember, I don't know why I remember this. We had a lot of deaf kids at my school.
Is that what you were talking about when you said we had kids with issues?
Is that what I said?
You said we had a lot of kids with issues.
Oh,
not being able to hear is an issue.
It's a major issue, and these kids were getting the help they need. I just remember...
when you're fucking somebody, you never get to hear them say your name. That's fucked up.
I remember...
We respect the deaf on this podcast.
I remember one of the deaf kids died, and they had...
Pour one out.
They had
See you at the crossroads, deaf.
They had a...
Mr. Deaf.
You meet deaf at the crossroads? And then
I'm at the crossroads meeting up with all my deaf motherfuckers.
You try and sell your soul to him by playing him a guitar riff, but he's like, I can't hear that motherfucking shit. And then he helps you become the greatest guitar player ever, but he can't hear anything. So you're not good at guitar.
How'd he die? He was just walking. He was walking in a shooting range and couldn't.
No, I don't think. I think being deaf was not his only issue. I think. So I don't know. But he died, and the group and the school set up a grief group for fellow deaf students that knew him so they could talk about it at the school. They all brought him into one classroom. The funny thing was they didn't really like do their research on like who they were bringing to this grief group.
Yeah.
So they just brought like a bunch of kids from deaf classes. And one of my friends was like kind of hard of hearing. So he was like in a couple, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting exactly who it was, but he wasn't deaf. He was just kind of hard of hearing. And he didn't hang with the deaf kids because he wasn't as deaf as them. Mm-hmm. He was not most deaf. So he couldn't hang with them. But they brought him to that group, and then all these kids were crying in deaf. And then he's just sitting there, and he told me, he was like, I didn't know the guy. So I was just in the room while everybody was like, he's dead. And then he was like, I don't know, I met him.
It's like, did you guys sign for crying?
Isn't that crazy? Where like the school's like trying to do something nice, but they accidentally bring a kid that just didn't know him.
Yeah. We also had a public prayer before school. I imagine that's not happening in the godless state of California.
Every day?
Yeah.
Was it a public school?
It was a public school, yeah.
How's that legal?
It wasn't.
It's like not.
It was like what they would do.
Violate church and state separation.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, that just seems. That's one of those things in school where you're like, where you feel like a high school know-it-all, where you're like, this is actually violent, but you're like, wait, this is a public. Like, was it to God? Like, it was a Christian prayer?
Yes, they would do it over the flagpole. My mom would try to drop me off there sometimes, and I'd just be like, I guess I'll just go hang out in the gym.
Oh wait. Was it broadcast over speakers to the whole school?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, it was like something you could attend.
It was, it wasn't.
Oh, well then that's why that's legal, because it's a voluntary thing.
Yeah,
They probably legally couldn't project a prayer to the entire school.
No, that's not what I was saying at all. It still feels kind of weird, though. I guess it's not.
I mean, it's I don't think it's fucked, because it might have been was there a religious club as well, you know?
Probably. I never looked at the clubs.
Maybe there was a Jewish club. Was that a possibility?
We had more, we had Muslims, but we didn't have Jews. I didn't meet a Jew till I was like 19.
That's one of the craziest things. That like...
We had we had less Catholics than we had Muslims.
Okay, well that's an interesting flip on the progressive nature of where you're from.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Like, it is so funny. I forget that like most people in the country will grow up and like not meet a Jewish person for a long time.
Yeah.
And maybe only just meet a couple. Like in their head, they're like, oh, Jewish people are like people I've met briefly.
Yeah. The first Jewish person I ever met, I was either 19 or 20. It was doing open mics. It was this Israeli woman, which is like, you're getting the full dose of Judaism there.
Well, you're getting like almost like born again Judaism.
Yeah.
I mean, not that those people are, but I mean, it's like a neo Judaism. You know, it's like
she used to brag about how she had killed people.
Yeah, because she was in the IDF. I guess. They're into that. They brag about it a lot.
Yeah, I don't even think she was pro-Israel. I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
She sounds pretty pro-Israel. I mean, she murdered Palestinians.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, just because you're killing people doesn't mean you're against them.
I'm saying usually those people are pro-Israel.
Yeah.
They love Israel.
Just because somebody gets an abortion doesn't mean they're anti-babies.
Is that the argument?
That's the argument I'm making.
Yeah, but nobody's like aborting the baby because they feel that the
state made her be in the IDF. If the state made you get an abortion, you're like, but I love babies, and I think babies should have their own land.
I mean, the state makes you in the way that, but it's like, if you don't want to do that, you just move. You can't be an Israeli citizen.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, then it becomes a quandary of like, do I want to support this war?
Or do I want to support this war?
Just to be
Or
a citizen?
Do I want to leave everything that I've ever known?
Yeah. Well, then, that's when your morals really come into play. Do you agree with the fighting that's going on? And if not...
When you were 18, like, what sort of morals... If you... Do you feel like you were moral enough that if people were like, you got to go over to Van Nuys and kill motherfuckers, you would be like, I guess I'll leave my family forever and go live in the Midwest?
No, I'm not saying I'd be good.
Yeah.
I'd probably.
So why are you judging this woman?
Well, I'm just saying
you're judging hoes on our podcast?
That's the question that is presented to the citizens of Israel when they reach 18 is, are you with
us or are you against us?
Yeah. Are you going to literally
Are you going to rep the set?
Are you willing to murder for this cause
or
not? And I think many people, it's a simple equation, which, I understand if that's the way you've grown up. Because there were kids that went to my high school in Woodland Hills that flew across the world and joined the IDF.
Mm.
And
that's a whole different story.
They never stepped foot in Israel.
Yeah.
So it speaks to the power of that message.
Yeah.
Which, if we could have a message so powerful.
Oh, that we send people to the Middle East to fuck shit up?
Well, we just don't have... Our podcast, unlike Israel, does not have a context to its creation.
Yeah.
And there's not a history to it and a struggle and, sort of things that have happened.
If we put it behind a Patreon, then maybe.
Yeah, but nobody's tried to kill us, And even if I'll be honest, even if half of the population of our podcast was wiped out, I don't think you would be able to benefit from it that much. I think if I was murdered by a dictator in a genocide against our podcast, and then you started a podcast after that was I need a podcast, so I can feel safe and have a podcast. I don't think people would view me being killed the same as the Holocaust. And I don't think...
most likely not.
No, most likely not. I don't think you'd be able to...
there's a possibility.
I don't think you'd be able to raise an arm. The numbers are staggeringly different, so...
Yeah, we could exaggerate it.
And that's the problem.
We could exaggerate our genocide.
It's podcasts now are so popular that it's you're going up against Your Mom's House and the Tim Dillon Show and the State of Israel. And it's these are the figureheads in the community.
Does Israel have an official podcast?
Can
we be rivals with Israel's official podcast?
There's got to be some people in Israel that definitely have podcasts. I'm sure a lot of them are sort of guerrilla journalists, on both sides. I feel like if you have any kind of podcast there, you definitely have to talk about the news.
Yeah.
I think you definitely... I don't think there's a podcast like this.
Yeah. In Israel where they're just riffing and being goofy.
If there is a podcast like this in Israel, they're
doing pretty well.
They have very little to stand on in the case of not being protected.
Yeah.
If a podcast like this can exist within a country, that country is definitely the domineering power. And I would say whether or not a podcast like this does exist in Israel, that Israel has the capability to have a podcast.
Please don't send us any podcasts that are like this in Israel.
Oh, please do.
Please don't. I'm not going to listen to them. Cooper might listen to them.
Well, I just want to know what their riffs would be like.
Yeah.
What's their edgy, is it making fun of Palestinians or is it making fun of the state of Israel? Is there a center-left podcast in Israel that's Netanyahu's actually fucking gay?
Yeah.
Probably because I think a lot of Israelis don't agree with...
Israeli come town?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting at. A tzatziki town,
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Whatever.
It's Greek, but...
Yeah.
They got tzatziki over there. They're eating tzatziki.
Oh, for sure.
They're not having a little tzatziki sometimes. But yeah.
What other countries could we try to pick on today?
I don't know. I have my issues with Portugal.
Portugal does have some problems.
I mean, it's a pretty basic issue. Maybe it's not the most thought out, but they were the largest, one of, if not the largest slave trader in the world. At one point, they were importing the most slaves. And then, as far as I can tell, they really haven't done anything since then.
Yeah, that is kind of fucked up that you're once slavery's over, you guys are just well, back to the drawing board.
Yeah, and then you're just not a powerful country.
Yeah.
I don't like everything America's done, but at least all the horrible things we've done have at least excelled ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is not good, but I'm saying at least somebody's getting something. Portugal was just we're going to make a bunch of people slaves, make all of Brazil speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to go back and just be it's you did all that horrible stuff for nothing? I don't know what's
their
worse.
accent's crazy.
I mean, gosh, they sound like Dutch or something. It's
they
ridiculous.
Sound there's this Brazilian woman I was talking to for a minute, and she fucking just sounded Russian.
And the Dutch, they aren't great either, because the Dutch East India Trading Company.
Yeah.
That was
Also, their shoes, miss me. Miss me.
Yeah. That's how you would...
What if we became a pick our nose and eat it type of podcast?
Okay. So you want to...
Send us some money, we'll pick our nose on the next podcast.
You want to be the gross podcast. I mean, I could see if this podcast doesn't work out, we would just start eating shrimp into an ASMR mic.
Ooh, okay.
And it's old or something.
Old shrimp. But we don't have to tell people it's old. We can just tell people it's old, but we just buy some shrimp.
It is. I don't know how to make stuff that people want to watch. Because I go on Instagram and then I just see there's like some girl and like she's got like a very large noodle, it's like in a huge ramen bowl, and she's eating it, and that's got like 3 million views.
We could be one of those like exploitive like LA homeless podcast. I feel like people like to watch like California homeless stuff.
You want to do like a soft white underbelly?
Yeah.
But how are we different?
How are we different? I mean, I think that there's so many soft white underbellies out there.
Well, what about this? The soft white underbellies, they bring these homeless guys and these pimps and these sex workers and
then they basically talk them into killing themselves.
They do that, but they only ask them about them.
Why don't we get some like pimps in here to ask us how we're pimps? Like, what are you guys doing?
Okay. I was thinking that, or like they come in and we're like, do you think Gavin Newsom is doing a good job with the state? How do you feel about Gavin Newsom?
Yeah.
And everything going on? And then a guy on crack will be like, I actually used to work for Gavin Newsom.
Oh, yeah?
But he tried to suck my dick. He's gay.
Oh.
And like, I mean, I don't know. If you ask him about big topics, you'll get more exciting answers.
That's true.
Because if you ask them about their life, they'll just,
Have you ever watched Soft White Underbelly?
I've watched a lot of it, yeah.
Are there questions just like, when did you start sucking dick?
Pretty much.
So it's just porn, basically.
Well, it's almost like a therapy session, but he's not saying anything helpful.
Yeah.
Because he's just interviewing him. So he'll just be like, so how long have you been working on the street? And then like a 23-year-old woman will be like, 15 years. and then he's like, so how old were you when you started? And she was like 8. And then he just goes, wow. And then just asks another question. Yeah. And that's when it just kind of becomes exploitive.
At a certain point, he's just like, you got to be not shocked by that you're bringing in crackheads, and they're like, I've been sucking dick since I was in the womb.
Well, it is weird because it's like, how do you respond to anything they tell you? Like, do you really sit there and go like, that's terrible? Or do you like not patronize them or whatever? Like, and then, yeah, it just starts to feel exploitive when like 30 minutes in, you just have a person sitting there and he's just like, so...
What about a guy that's just like, yeah, whatever. Last week I interviewed a dead baby. You try to top that shit.
Yeah, I mean that's a problem now. Is like a guy does something like that, and the mission statement of it is like we're exposing this soft white on this darkness of LA, and we're bringing to light these issues. But it's also like those issues are brought to light because they're literally happening. You walk outside.
Yeah, they're happening in front of the community college.
Literally
in fucking Vermont.
Yeah, literally nobody that lives in LA is going to watch Soft White Underbelly and be like, I didn't know this was happening.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally just like, I see these guys on the street, now I'm going to hear them talk.
Yeah.
So that is just entertainment.
And they're already talking to them. Like, I drove past
You can talk to them. They'll talk to you.
Yeah.
You can find out all those things yourself.
I literally last night drove past the fucking LACC. Guy was just... He was sitting crisscross applesauce, which is hilarious to be homeless and sitting crisscross applesauce.
He's playing MASH.
And he's just smoking crack and like nodding back and forth. It's like, wow, whoa, that's crazy. And it's like, no, this happens all the time.
Yeah, I don't think it's helpful, the kind of almost like wide-eyedness that people bring to the LA homeless problem, where they're like, they see a homeless guy smoking crack and they're like, I bet he could paint.
Yeah.
Or maybe I bet he has something amazing about him. It's like, I'm sure he does have some sort of talent.
Yeah.
Maybe what he's capable of right now is working in a mail room. Maybe we could get to mail room and, it's I think the people that
he keeps eating the mail. We got him in the mail room, he keeps eating it.
This motherfucker, he keeps eating all the goddamn mail. And then he just keeps them for himself.
He's eating gift cards. This motherfucker, you're not even supposed to look in the mail. This motherfucker's eating gift cards.
I mean, I think that is probably when people get disillusioned. Is like they join like a homeless outreach organization. They get a guy a job, and then they get a call from the job, and they're like, we had to fire him. And they're like, why? Was he having breakdowns? And they're like, no, he was eating the mail. He was eating it. And then you just have to be like, okay, he's a human. He's a person.
Okay.
He's where it's.
Let's get him a job where he can't eat anything.
Yeah, let's get him a job in a metal factory.
Yeah,
and then the guy calls and it's like, this motherfucker's still trying to.
He's nibbling the mail. He can't figure it out.
This motherfucker is nibbling on these PVC pipes, and he's getting little notches in them. So, yeah, you got to get something where you got to put a muzzle on this motherfucker. I mean, this motherfucker cannot work at Jersey Mike's. We're going to be out of toppings in no time. This motherfucker's eating all the goddamn banana peppers by the handful.
My man trying to eat the money. He's eating the money. We got food here. Why is he eating the money?
I wonder how much that happens of having to deal with such specific odd issues when you're working with homeless people. Because it just, it seems tough because it's like you want to give them a good life. But people are complex and issues are complex and people will do things that they themselves maybe can't explain. And
eating in general is just like eating that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's a compulsion.
And you have to deal with that professionally. Like you have to get a call where
I have really bad, like I pull my hair really bad.
Okay.
Like to the point when I was like in 3rd grade or whatever, I'd have just these bald spots in my head.
Wow.
And then I was reading about it and they're like, yeah, a lot of these people eat their hair. And it's so funny that I was just kind of like, like, what? Weirdo?
Yeah.
I have the same problem. I'm just like, what are these motherfuckers doing?
Yeah. And I guess you got that because your level of stress as a child was so much that would you get mad and you would pull it out like in one go, like and then like a chunk, or was it like kind of all throughout the day?
It was all throughout the day, but then like eventually it would get to the point I'm just pulling. I am pulling out big strands of hair and shit.
Your household and life was so stressful that you were literally pulling out your hair.
Oh yeah.
And then there's guys.
And then they were like, "Why?" Taking me to the doctor, like, "Why does he pull out his hair?" And they're like, "We have no clue. What do you guys do?"
I mean, that explains like kind of your character that at like the age of 3 or whatever in 3rd grade, like 8 years old, you had the stress level of a homeless person. Like that was where you were at. I mean,
I started pulling my hair when my mom started going to the hospital for being crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, these other 8-year-olds don't know what it's like.
See, that's like the kind of sentence that I just feel like people I feel like I started pulling out my hair when my mom started going to the hospital for acting crazy. I really, because I like a lot of the things you say because you're like a folk comic almost. It's almost like listening to a folk song. It's a very American thing.
Yeah.
It's very, very, heartland.
Yeah, I was doing a Finnish show, an all Finnish show, and I was looking at my material, and it's like, this is all about bad stuff in the South and poverty and shit, and it's like, are these motherfuckers gonna relate to this?
I've done that show before. For people listening, it's a show run by a Finnish comic who the audience is all Finnish, and I asked him, I'm like, where do you find all these Finnish people? And he's like, Facebook. And you just like, because when it makes sense, people move from Finland and they sometimes have meetups of just Finnish people.
Yeah.
So he goes to those meetups and he's like, do you want to come see American comedy?
Yeah.
And then they go and did they like you?
I don't know. He said that the host went up and he's like, Finnish people, they experience joy on the inside. That's what he said. He was like, they liked you. I was watching them. They was smiling.
Yeah. I had 2 experiences on that show.
Very sweet guy.
The first time I did that show, I was very nervous because I was like, I don't know how any of this is going to come across. These people are from, I can't think of a more alien place.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, Finland? I don't even know what, But I went up and they laughed, actually. They made noise.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool.
They did laugh.
Nice.
Sometimes.
And then I did the show again and they did not laugh at all.
Yeah.
But what they do is they just sit there and they smile at you.
Yeah.
And they go, and they just listen. Like
they're smiling at you like they're being like, good boy.
It's kind of almost like you can't really argue with the crowd's reaction to stuff because you're like, you guys are being completely honest, and it's with no malice that you're not like. Because like sometimes I feel like American crowds, like especially like a very like drunk 50-year-old woman will, they'll be like, be funny, and like you haven't even said anything.
Yeah.
The Finnish people are just like, oh, he will be funny in a way that he knows how, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite. It's a weird show because you do these weird shows that are funny because they're so weird.
Yeah.
And then like almost on the flip side or like the other extreme is you do like a biker bar with a Confederate flag on the wall, and they're like they want to fight you. Have you ever had somebody try to fight you?
I've had an open micer try to fight me. But
I've had that happen a couple
The closest
times.
I've ever gotten to a crowd trying to fight me, I was not even close to it. What I was telling this bisexual joke, and I was in Orange, California, in like a cinder block bar on
Hell
like
yeah.
the side of a highway. And I started, and they were liking me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was going well. And then I got to the joke where I say I'm bisexual, and then the whole crowd went boo. And this is like in California, but people don't realize outside of LA and San Francisco and stuff, it's like desert rednecks, and they're like very.
What's funny, even in LA, you go south enough, it's like, oh, this is.
Well, you go to Orange County and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
This shit
well, even
was,
like fucking like Torrance.
Yeah.
Like. There's some rednecks out there.
Yeah, so they booed, and then a girl said she was trying to be nice to me, actually. This was her way of like caring about me. She was like, "Don't do it. Like, it's not worth it. Don't do it." And then somehow I turn them around where I go, "Listen, I already wrote the joke. I have to tell it. You guys can beat me up after the set if you want, but I'm going to tell the joke." And then they laughed, and it felt like one of those situations where like I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it felt like they had viewed that I had held my own.
Yeah.
And I noticed that especially white conservatives respect that more than they hate gayness. So like if you're going to talk about gay shit, but you're like, I'm not a pussy about or whatever, then they'll be like, okay, I'll listen to this motherfucker. Like it's like they kind of respect.
That's another thing. The gayest motherfuckers will kill in those rooms, but you have to be like so gay.
Well, yeah, you have to really up it. But even if you don't like, because I don't act very gay and flamboyant, but I think even if you just present of like, I don't give a fuck what you think, then they think that way too. So they like that, where they're like, oh, I don't give a fuck what motherfuckers think either.
Yeah.
So this motherfucker, I think he's so disgusting because he does gay stuff. But then you flip it to where in their head they're like, actually, this motherfucker doesn't give a fuck so much. He does something I find morally repugnant. And then it's interesting because they don't have to not be homophobic. They are still homophobic, and that's fine. They're just now you've appealed to their sense of like, you don't fuck with me, motherfucker.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you can do, and that I think reaches their core.
Well, I mean, if you just carried around a "Don't Tread on Me" flag, and every time you were like, I'm bisexual, and then you pulled out the flag.
Yeah.
You know, they might respect that.
My thing is, I lift up my shirt and it's that, but it says "Don't come on me."
Ooh.
Because it's like, I'll fuck a dude, but like, don't fucking come on me. And guys are like, yeah, you don't fuck with that motherfucker.
Yeah.
So, no,
I mean, you could threaten to be like, yeah, if you guys boo me again, I'll come down and I'll suck all your dicks, give you a great time. I'll finger your little butthole.
Stuff like that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're like aggressively gay, you can try that. Or you know, I'll go up and just be like, I'm gay, but I'm not like gay. Like, I'll suck a guy's dick and then I'll be like, come on, hurry up, we got to go to work.
Yeah.
So, like, you do some joke like that and sometimes it'll work.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, it's like, I like the conservative crowds like that, though, because you can say wild shit, and they like wild shit. It's just not the kind of wild shit they want to hear, but if you kind of talk to them enough, they'll listen. The thing with, like, older, white California conservative crowds is, like, they don't like grossness, really. So, like, even if I convince them that the gay thing is fine, they're still just like, I don't like the graphic way you're speaking, I don't care for.
That's why I always struggled. I struggled sometimes in the South, because I'm very gross.
Yeah. That's the thing I struggle with the most. Because it's like when it comes to like things people get mad about, like LGBTQ or race or whatever, like big issues, you can talk to people about that and come to an agreement, even if you disagree or whatever. But then when it comes to just being gross, then it feels like the 20s where they're just like, a man should not say such disgusting things on stage. And then you just feel like, you're like, what is it? Like, do I have to act like Lenny Bruce here?
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't even know what to say to that.
It is so funny going from, like, the South to, like, the alt room. Because you're, like, me in the South and the Midwest, it's like, I always fit in with, like, the degenerates of that scene.
Sure.
But in L.A., it's like, well, the degenerates out here are all Republicans.
Yeah, the degenerates here always have a whole agenda where they're either like a fake degenerate where they have a father kind of bankrolling their degeneracy and they're like, I'm fucking crazy. Or you have like a degenerate who's like a young, like maybe conservative guy that has like a carpenter job and he's kind of like, you know, I fucking make my own money. You can't talk shit, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's something, I think this is kind of what I like about your comedy is I think the South has a little more of this where it's sort of more the like of an endearing rebel without a cause.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, that's John Boy. And it's like, what does he do? It's like, he just drives his truck fast.
Yeah.
And like, that's all he does. And like, if you ask him about like, you know, he might have voted for Trump or whatever, but he's really not a political guy. Like his degeneracy is not rooted in like, I do it because I'm a fucking American. It's like, no, he has no agenda. He just is gross.
Yeah.
He's just gross. Like, he hears about that you can go to a rub and tug, and he's like, of course I would go to that.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even think about it. In LA, you might have a guy going to a rub and tug, but then in his head, he's like, I'm fucking Bukowski.
Oh, yeah, there's like so many motherfuckers like that. It's like...
Yeah, you have a lot of people doing it.
It's like, motherfucker, these women live in bird cages, dude.
Yeah. So it's like you have a lot of... That's what annoys me, especially in comedy, because you have performers, is you have a lot of people that are like, you don't know how fucking crazy I am. And I'm like, really insane people show you. They show, and you learn, even just from speaking to him, you're like, this guy's crazy. Like, just the way he speaks when he's like, I used to hang out with these motherfuckers, it's like, some guy who talks fast and talks about motherfuckers. Yeah. It's like, you're like, this guy's literally crazy. But then you like talk to, some people here, and they're just like, I don't know, they just like express a radical political opinion, and you're just like, okay, but like, you go kill somebody. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a lot of like art loser fascists out here.
Fascists?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I mean, what do you mean by that? What's an
they're
art
like
fascist?
They're like artsy-fartsy people, but then they're like, I'm going to take the most abrasive opinion possible, which is just fascism.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it can be a thing of like elitist people will be like, what's like so crazy?
Yeah.
I guess that's almost the same thing as like, it's like the new version of like Nazi punks.
Oh, yeah.
Which were just like white guys who were
But at least
like,
Nazi punks, it was like, a lot of that spawned from just like the California prison system.
Did it though?
I feel
dudes, like I think like dudes in like Britain and New York and shit were doing that. Like, I think
the shit out here. I guess
there's like but
it's also I like the West Coast punks more, so I just know more about that.
You're talking about like skinhead hardcore stuff. Yeah. I'm talking about like Nazis that would just like around the Sex Pistol time. Because Sid Vicious actually did this. They would just throw a swastika and stuff. And if you ask them why, they're like...
Have you ever heard Belson was a gas?
If you ask them why, they're like, because it was the most evil thing you could do. No, is that about gassing people?
Well, it's just a Sex Pistol song. It is just about like the Holocaust, and it's trying to be hilarious about the Holocaust.
Yeah, I mean, the Sex Pistols...
Which it's based on a fucking... what's it called? A Captain Beefheart song.
The fuck is Captain Beefheart doing?
He did a song called Dachau Blues.
Oh my god, Captain Beefheart, what the fuck?
What, you never listened to fucking Trout Mask Replica? That's like the fourth song.
I think I've like listened to a little. I don't really
That's some shit you listen to when you're 16.
I don't need to give a fuck about Captain Beef. There's some guys I'm just like,
come on, he's a Valley guy, dude. You're a Valley guy. I'm pretty sure he's a Valley guy.
I just don't. There's a lot of guys I'm like, do I need that in my life? Captain Beefheart? Who am I trying to impress vinyl record collectors, like
I don't know. I listened to the Trout Mask Replica pretty recently, and I was like, oh, this shit's still good. It's just I'm not 16, so I'm not going to listen to this.
Well, who's better, Captain Beefheart or George Jones?
George Jones.
Exactly.
George Jones is the greatest singer of all time.
Exactly. So what's the problem?
Well, that's the thing. If I'm going to put on music, I'm either going to put on fucking country music or I'm going to put on fucking rap. There's no reason to listen to anything else.
Country music really gets a bad rap.
It does. It does.
They say the coolest shit. Like, I keep listening to Between My House and Town. You know that George Jones song?
Yeah.
I really don't listen to enough George Jones. I like that song a lot. But just the concept of, I'm so sad that you don't want to break up with me, that I live so alone, I'm so far out in the world that the sun, the curvature of the earth is so much that the sun sets between you and me. Is how lonely I am.
Damn.
That's a lot cooler than laughing about Dachau.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know? Like, and it does seem like a very simple metaphor, but I like it as a way of expressing how sad you are. I'm so alone.
And it's crazy those guys can still seem tough when they're whining, basically. Waylon Jennings just whining all the motherfucking time. And you're just like, this is the coolest guy who's ever lived. I wish I was like this guy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that, like, I think that's almost kind of what makes country singers tough, because I think it's funny because country people have the perception that it's a bunch of guys, I don't know, like posturing, of being like, and there's a lot of guys that do that in any genre, but it's like there's a lot of guys being like, we're all so fucking tough, but then you listen to like really good country artists, and they're just like, I'm the loneliest man in the world.
Oh yeah,
they're like, I'm so sad, I get drunk all the time and I get fucked, because it actually does speak to what, like, if you see a tough guy in a bar, country songs actually explain how that guy really lives. He's like, I fucked up a lot of things. Nobody likes me. I hate myself. And the way I get through it is by getting in fistfights.
All my favorite art is just about why being a badass is actually bad.
Yeah, that's kind of the message of all country music.
All country music, every Martin Scorsese movie is if you're a huge badass, your life's bad.
That's funny. We both thought of The Irishman or whatever.
Yeah.
Goodfellas.
Well, any of those movies. Taxi Driver, that guy's sick.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, he's just a mentally ill fucking loser.
And then there's all these dumb people that just like only take the surface level thing. They're like, yep, badass.
Yeah.
I like badass movies and badass songs. And every single song is telling you, like, no, don't let your boys grow up to be cowboys. This is we're losers.
Oh, yeah.
We're trying to tell you.
Well, if you break down a statistic, 99.9% of every person who's ever lived, huge fucking loser. If you, literally 99.99% of your mom's a loser, your dad's a loser, your siblings are losers, you're probably a loser.
What is the argument for that they're not making massive change in the world?
I just feel like, when you see it, with a loser.
Yeah.
Where I guess there's no real argument other than most people are pretty unhappy, And
that makes them losers.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a loser is maybe somebody who's living a life that they don't want to live.
Yeah, which is most people. Basically, almost everyone.
Yeah, I think people find ways of being realistic about stuff, though. It's like I think my mom likes her life a lot.
Yeah, so your mom's not a loser.
She drives vans and stuff for studios. That's obviously not her passion.
Yeah.
She was a hairdresser for 25 years. She wanted to do that, and then she stopped. I think with her, though, it's she's like, well, yeah, this job affords me, a good living, and my new husband has money, and we live in a nice place, and I actually do live the life I want to live. And then when it comes to the work, she's like, well, the work is, it's almost like a European thing of well, I'm not my work.
Yeah.
I'm Katie. I like doing this and that and this and that, and I have fun doing it, I think maybe our perspective is bad, because I think a lot of Gen Z people are like, no, your work really does define you, and that you should make money off of your passion. Yeah. And I agree with that. I just also don't think that, I think America has a bad thing of, if you ask an American what they are, they'll be like, I'm a carpenter.
Yeah.
If you ask a European guy, he'll be like, I'm a poet or whatever.
Yeah.
But, his job is he's a waiter.
Oh, yeah.
But in America, you're like, I'm a server. You just define yourself over your job. So it's easier to think you're...
Yeah, I mean, if somebody asked me who I was, I'd be like, I'm a stand-up comedian, and not the truth, which is I deliver food to projects. I deliver food to fucking affordable housing projects.
That's why it's great to fucking be in college, because people ask you what you are, and you just go, I'm a student.
Oh, yeah.
And it's you're perfect, because you're doing something good that people think is good, but you're not really doing anything. That's why being 24 fucking sucks, because you're out of college, you're not any more successful, and then people ask what you are, and you're like, I'm right now, I'm like nothing.
Yeah.
I work at a comedy club. I'm just ruining my resume.
Yeah, but a lot of 24-year-olds now, they're just getting high on cocaine every night. So it's at least you aren't doing that.
Yeah.
Fucking people that don't like them.
Do you feel that a lot where I don't feel mature, but I don't think I act like a 24-year-old. Maybe, I don't know. I think we act like a certain type. But I meet other 24-year-olds, and I'm I was thinking about this yesterday where I'm there's a lot of other 24-year-olds that they're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Where, they are not worried about how they're doing. Because I think the problem with being at 24 is, you, at least in our respect, me and you both want to be successful comedians.
Yeah.
So right now we're trying to be adults.
Yeah.
But no matter how hard we try.
Well, all of our friends are 36.
Also, that adds to it.
We just shot a sketch with a guy who has a baby.
Yeah. So
we're just can you waste your baby time?
Right.
Come help us with this podcast?
Yeah. It's he should not respect us.
Absolutely not. Which they don't. They don't respect us.
I think you'd be surprised. I think people, your peers, your friends.
I think they see us as children.
But I think I like to think they see us as guys with promise. They said very nice things to me. I don't know what our friends say to you.
They say nice things, but I feel I know deep down. I think just because, we've both been doing comedy since we were young.
Yeah.
And it's you've probably had people just be like, will you you're a child, like, and they've expressed that.
But usually when I hung around long enough, then they became nice because they were like, this is the child that won't go away, so this child really cares. But I will say,
if you hang out with 32-year-olds long enough, you start to think like, oh, I'm like particularly immature. Well, but then you hang out with someone your own age and they like don't know how to turn on the sink.
Well, that's the thing, is we hang out with adults, and then in my head I'm like, man, I really just want to like grow up and be able to like live functionally and efficiently.
Yeah.
But then other 24-year-olds who only hang out with 24-year-olds, they're doing it the right way because they're like, now is the time to have fun, because if I try and be an adult, I'm just going to be bad at that. So I might as well just.
But if you also talk to them, they're all sad. They're all like, yeah, my boyfriend cheats on me with four guys.
Yeah, they got tiny problems.
Oh yeah,
they got tiny. Our problems.
Well, yeah,
stupid.
that's true.
Our problems are like.
Our problems are kind of stupid.
So big, they're stupid. Where it's like, oh, what's your problem? It's like, I'd like to be a rich, successful stand-up comedian.
Oh yeah,
like that's a lot.
There's no reason we should have any of that.
No, not at all. But the other guys, they're having more fun. You just talk to 24, and they're just vibing out, and they feel good. They feel like they're doing everything right because they are. Yeah. They're only 24. They're making some money for themselves.
Yeah,
they're
maybe
doing
I'm
fine.
just saying this as a person that's that's like doesn't want to have to fuck 30-year-old women. Where I'm like, I'm gonna fuck someone my age. That's happened once. No. Every other woman I've gone out with has been like in like their late 20s or 30s.
Yeah, I find it very hard to talk to people in general my age.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time doing it.
Because you're just because you're just hanging out with fucking 40-year-old divorcees.
Yeah, I feel like a 40-year-old man. Like the thought of like convincing.
Which people are going to look at this being like, these guys are fucking idiots.
Definitely. I mean, we're not coming off like we're mature.
Oh, absolutely
not.
That's
a confusing thing because I'm not mature at all, and yet trying to fuck a 24-year-old, I feel like a 50-year-old man.
Oh yeah, you feel like a creep, and it's like she's only 6 months younger than me.
Yeah, it's like why do we have nothing to speak about?
Yeah.
What have I done in my life that has made me so? Why has it never worked?
Yeah. Well, I also didn't go to college too. So I have even less to talk about than you do.
Yeah, but it's not like, what am I going to talk about from college? Am I going
to
go
at
and
least
be like,
have the shared experience of college?
Am I going to talk about the Green Knight, that I read in my medieval literature class?
Me and my, I remember I did a couple semesters of community college, and me and my friend, who was the only other person in my hometown who stayed, we were so mad at all the people that got to go to college. And I remember we used to go to this art house theater in Nashville all the time and just try to cause ruckus just because we were mad at these Vanderbilt students. I remember we would just like try to pick – we would just basically try to pick fights with people and just try to annoy people. Like we'd go to a foreign movie and sit there and enjoy it. And as soon as we left, we'd just loudly be like, I wish that shit was in English.
That's awesome. That makes you the smartest guy in the movie.
No, it doesn't.
Like fucking with college kids is funny. I remember I was in Berkeley, and I was doing shows out there, and then my friend was there for a work trip, so I was staying with him, and we were like 500 feet from the Berkeley campus.
Yeah.
So we were in this walk where all the kids would go to get food and go to bars and stuff, and we got like really drunk at a bar, and then we were walking down the street smoking at Backwood, and then we were waiting for food, and then some college girl was like, I feel like I smell weed, and I was like, 'cause I'm smoking a fucking Backwood. We were just like yelling, like being really rude to kids that were like 2 years younger than us. But, but just had better lives,
Oh yeah.
Just did, but and then we were walking, and I passed these like 4 like freshmen with my friend, and we're all fucked up, and I was like, do you guys like living here? And they were like, yeah, we're crazy. We love living here. And then they kept walking. They were like 20 feet away now. And I go, oh, you guys are crazy? I go, I'm a little crazy. I got bipolar 2. And then I started describing what bipolar 2 is, where I'm like, it's like major depression mixed with slight fits of hypomania. I take 100 milligrams of Lamictal every day.
Hell yeah.
And by that time, they were like 60 yards down the street, and I'm just screaming.
Yeah.
My friend was like, you really freaked those kids out. But it is very fun. Kids that even me is like not like a poor kid, but I was never smart or rich enough to get into like Berkeley.
Yeah.
So even me, I look at them and I'm like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I fucking hate you. And
I don't
know
want you
why.
to try to fight me.
I'm like from a good family.
Yeah.
Like my cousins are like, they went to UCLA and they have good jobs and they have kids and they're doing great. My uncle, they're all good people.
Yeah.
But I am from the side of the family that none of us could get into UCLA.
Oh,
my dad couldn't. I couldn't. My brother couldn't. So we're the CSUN family. We're the state school side of the family. And I don't know if I'm building it up in my head, but I really feel it. And so then I think when I see those kids out in the wild, I'm like, you motherfuckers.
I remember one time that one of the guys that worked cashier at that art theater is like, "Are you guys from Vanderbilt?" And he's like, "We see you here all the time." I'm like, "Fuck no."
Nice.
Ain't from motherfucking Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I like that you guys were just like you guys were almost like educating yourselves out of spite.
Yeah.
You were like, let's go to that gay art house theater and watch that gay movie to make fun of those gay kids. But then you're just like getting a great lesson in like art house film.
Well, we went to go see
an appreciation of the avant-garde.
Was it Les Not? It's a fucking 60s like French movie.
Okay.
And I remember there was one guy there who's like clearly just a fucking Vanderbilt kid. And I remember like when we saw the movie, we were talking about, you know, we both really enjoyed it, and then we went in the bathroom, and that Vanderbilt kid was in the bathroom crying. We were just like, fucking gay.
Really? Was he like, you could hear him in the stall?
Yeah, he was in the stall crying.
And you stood outside the stall and called him gay?
Yes.
Why do you think he was crying?
Because the movie was sad.
Oh, so he had to go to the bathroom to like let out his emotions about how sad the movie was.
And it's like, come on, man. We got a big pile of trash in our house. Shut your bitch ass up. Shut your bitch ass. We had a puppy die in our house, and my fucking dad just left it there. Shut up.
Yeah, those kids have no power in our society anymore. 100 years ago, that kid would walk out and he would school you with his college knowledge.
Yeah.
But now he just comes out and you're like, all that shit's on YouTube, loser. And you can just make fun. Like, you can know everything he can know for free. Yeah.
Another time.
Are Vanderbilt kids, like, artsy?
Yeah, kind of. I mean...
That's so weird.
It's the fucking Harvard of the South. Fucking Cormac McCarthy went there.
I guess it just seems very preppy, though. It doesn't seem like...
It's definitely both of that and that.
They're like artsy. They're like
some
indie
of them,
kids at Vanderbilt.
Yes, it's still like Nashville. There's a lot of the fucking
yeah.
those
I
sorts
mean,
of guys.
It's college. I get it. Yeah.
But one time my friend tried to like literally a guy got in his face because we were doing this bit where Harry Dean Stanton had died and they were screening a bunch of his movies and we were going. Okay. And even when we would go to another movie and Harry Dean Stanton would be like. A commercial would be on, we'd boo it. We'd be like, that guy fucking sucks. I'm glad he's dead.
Oh, funny. Yeah.
And one time we went to go see Paris, Texas, and we were talking about that movie was really good, but I just didn't like that lead guy. And some guy just came up to us in the bathroom and he was like, why'd you even go see the movie if you don't like Harry Dean Stanton? And my friend gets his face and he's like, I thought it would have been better if Harrison Ford starred in it.
Nice. Did that kid, was he just flustered by that?
He was very upset.
I love that you guys are like going into the realms of the Southern elite.
Yeah.
And calling them gay. There's something very that is like the Gen Z like radical perspective to be like, how are we going to take these guys down?
Yeah.
We'll go in there and we'll call them gay.
Oh,
and honestly, I hope that helps them in their life. Like I
hope it did not.
I don't know how it could have.
I also pulled my penis out at the art theater one time just to be funny. We were watching some artsy fartsy movie, and I just tapped my friend on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, look at this!" And it's just my penis is out.
Did anybody else see?
No.
Okay, good. That's really funny.
It's so funny to go to an art theater and just pull your penis out and be a fucking Southern white trash motherfucker.
Yeah, I love that. There's something I really love about that. It's like they're like letting Huckleberry Finn into the theater, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you guys shouldn't have been allowed in there.
Oh, no.
But you were. And you're also around, I guess, artsy kids that are like, I love the dregs of society.
Yeah.
And then they meet you motherfuckers.
And they want to fight us.
And they're like, I hate these guys. And it's like, this is the dregs of your society. These are people who have had hard lives in your society. You have to meet them. They look like Shane.
Yeah.
You gotta meet
that guy ruled. He would show up to our community college campus drunk off moonshine and like just get in people's faces and yell at them.
Oh, you've told me about this guy. How's he doing?
He works at a Home Depot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Pretty like
in the lumber department?
I honestly don't know.
You know what
I was very mean to him. So we had a falling out.
You know what's the best shit in the fucking world is the wall of handles for drawers.
Yeah.
At a Home Depot. You remember that wall? It's like near the bathroom section. There's a few of them in the store maybe for kitchen and bathroom, but it's like the little handles you would put on a drawer and they just have a wall and you can,
I just remembered another story about this guy. This is very funny. He So he used to he worked at this paint shop in Nashville, and he got fired because he said that he was gonna like beat up the CEO on Facebook, and he like
of Sherwin-Williams.
No, it was Sherwin-Williams' enemy.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if I'm getting this guy in trouble, but he got fired. So he had a bunch of pictures stored of he had videos and shit of them, like dumping the paint in like sewer drains and shit. So he just sent it to the EPA.
Really?
Yeah.
Did that come
I mean, I don't really
anything?
know, but I assume the manager probably got fired.
Yeah. When does paint become bad?
Well, you're not supposed to like dispose of it in certain ways.
Well, why are they disposing of it at all? It's paint.
Because they have to, you know? They
For
have
what?
to get rid of... I don't know if it was paint, but it was something they were doing something they're not supposed to do. And he just was like, I'm going to narc on the whole company.
Well, we're fucking breaking it on this podcast.
Yeah.
This could be like one of those things where it's like the case has gone cold, but then it
Yeah.
gets talked about on a podcast.
Oh, he also told me that there was another one of the paint shops. Everyone got fired because there was a black employee, and they kept calling the black employee the N-word. So they fired everyone.
Oh, my God. You can't have racists in a paint shop. That's a recipe for blackface.
Oh, yeah.
The paint shop employees should be vetted more than cops.
Yeah.
Because who knows? You can do a lot of bad shit with paint.
Yeah.
Commit a hate
crime.
crime.
You can write words with it?
Yes.
You can write bad words. You can write, like racial IQs on, like, the walls.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. No, you can't have that. So you said you've been eating healthier lately.
Oh, I did say that.
What is that to you?
Fruit.
Okay.
Sandwiches.
Yeah.
Just, it makes me feel weaker.
You're making food at home.
Yeah, not really, no.
Oh, you're buying sandwiches.
Yeah,
What kind of sandwiches?
Well, just deli shit.
Okay.
Like deli and fucking Subway, because it just feels... Thing is, it's so difficult to even know how to eat healthy. I don't know. And it's like, well, this would cost $1 million for me to make.
No, it wouldn't.
I mean, probably not.
You should go to the market.
I've been trying to get EBT so I can start doing that.
Yeah, if you go to the market, you feel better about what you just ate.
Oh, yeah.
Because you wake up and then you eat something and you go, okay, I ate and I haven't spent money today, technically. And it feels good when you get home from the market and you have all this shit.
Yeah.
You feel like a restaurant. You're like, I can do anything.
Yeah.
I can make anything.
It's also funny how sometimes if I don't have any food, I'll just drink the protein I have. Just like, well, I guess I'll just drink this protein shake.
It's very funny because I'm sure in your head you're like, well, this is full of a bunch of things that I need.
Yeah.
Like maybe you don't voice it, but in your core you kind of think, I can drink this and it's the same as eating any good thing in the world.
No,
But
that's not
really-
even how I think. It's just like, well, I can't afford to go get food.
It's just
so-
funny to only get protein.
Yeah.
Like you're not getting anything else. You're not getting any like vitamins.
Well, I'm
and
working
minerals.
out, you know.
How are
so-
you working out? What's the workout like?
Well, I start off with push-ups, and then I do like curls, and I got like a fucking regimen, and then I go walk for like 2 miles.
Does Joseph hold your feet when you do the sit-ups?
I actually don't do sit-ups. I probably should do
You
that.
said you're doing curls. You mean like with weights?
Yeah, with weights.
Oh,
I'm using
okay.
weights.
I thought you meant like you were curling your body.
No.
All right. You got to go to the rock climbing gym.
Yeah, you were trying to convince me.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's very fun. We could go after this.
I guess we could.
I
You have to
like it.
record your fucking other stupid-ass podcast.
Yeah. The gym, though, is crazy because it's interesting because there's like levels from like 0 to 12, I think.
Yeah.
It's like V0 to V12 of like difficulty. So I just
Oh, do you ever look at guns online? Like, seeing it, like, just look at guns to try to be like, should I buy this?
Where'd that come from the rock climbing?
Because I feel like we were getting into some gay shit, so I want to talk about guns.
Rock climbing wasn't cool enough?
No. And I was
wasn't-
curious. I was
wasn't gonna-
curious. Do you look at guns online?
I had a 2-week period where I was looking at tuxedo revolvers.
Okay.
And also not revolvers only, but the other tuxedo guns.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed it to Dan, and I was like, how cool would it be to have just like a small gun?
Yeah.
You know, because like if a guy breaks in, you know, you can fuck up his arm or whatever. You know, you're
Yeah.
not really going to kill anybody with it. And then he goes, you can't have a gun. And he said, you could never have a gun. And I said, why? And he said, you would kill yourself. And, I mean, it sounds like a joke, but I had literally forgotten. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I can't have a gun.
I would use a gun to kill myself.
Well, the way I would see it is I just spent like $500 on a gun, That's like basically my rent for the month. So I'm like, well, guess I got to use it.
I also don't want a shitty gun.
Yeah.
So, like, I'd spend too much on the gun.
Yeah. My friend wants me to go visit in Vegas. He's got a bunch of guns. He said he'd come to L.A., but he has his assault rifle with him.
Yeah, don't come to L.A. with that.
Yeah. But basically, he's like, come drive to Vegas and we'll shoot and we'll do degenerate shit.
I mean, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't even know if I can afford to drive to Vegas, which is so funny to be like the place where you go to lose money. I can't afford to get there.
You don't think you would have the gas?
Possibly, yes. Because I've probably pay my rent after this, so I'll have not that much money.
You should get a job.
I do have a job. That's how I'm going to make money.
The
Uber shit.
No, like a real job.
Yeah, but then like...
A job where you get a check.
Then people tell you what to do and shit.
People tell you what to do right now, except it's just over a phone.
Who's telling me what to do over the phone? Yeah.
Postmates and their customers.
But I don't have to deal with like a manager or anything.
No, but I mean...
I also like that it feels like I'm going on missions. That's what I like about it.
Is it fun in that way?
Yeah, because I'm like, yeah, I'm going on a mission that gets me $20.
Yeah, you're like Jason Statham. You're like the transporter.
Yeah. Oh, I got to drive from Atwater Village to Koreatown. It's going to give me $20.
That's like a lot of money to make off one trip, right? $20.
Yeah. Sometimes I get that. So I'll just like wait around near places and just go outside.
How much you make in a day?
Depends on how long you work. If you work for 5 hours, you probably make about $100.
Okay.
But that's like... But the problem is just not getting enough orders.
Yeah, that's why I don't like because at least if you have a job, you can just guarantee you get money.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'll just fucking hang out at where I would regularly hang out, and then then I'll take an order, and then I'll be gone for like 3 hours.
Yeah, okay, I understand. Do you guys hate when people do the priority delivery where it's
No, I don't even know. Well, it is annoying sometimes. I feel like because I have a bag that like keeps it warm.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you didn't have a bag, it would be annoying. Which a lot of people out here don't have bags.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really make that much because in Tennessee it made a huge difference whether or not people would tip you more.
Right.
Here it's just like I was making like probably like $30 to $35 an hour in Tennessee doing it, and here it's like $20.
People, they give you a bag on Postmates. They just give you one.
Well, I don't do Postmates.
Or DoorDash or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I fucking... Wait, what do you mean you don't? You just...
I just bought it. It was like $20.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying for a second you don't work through Postmates. You just have your own Shane's food service. Just call my number and I will go to any restaurant.
Yeah.
That would honestly...
Also, one cool part about out here is you don't have to like go and park your car in like in projects as much. It takes you to less sketchy areas than it would in Nashville.
Did you only go to sketchy areas when you did Postmates in Nashville?
There's a lot of times where I would go to sketchy areas, and I remember one time I drove to I think it's called Cumberland Gardens, which is like the shitty project in Nashville, and the guy tipped me a bunch. And as he was picking up the order, he was just like, "Oh man, I tipped you a bunch because I thought you was a bitch." He thought I was a woman over the picture.
He didn't see your name was listed as Shane Bianchi?
I guess not. I mean, Shane could be a woman's name. I know women with the Shane.
You ever get girls from doing Postmates?
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to.
Wait, what? See, you act like you don't work for anybody, and yet you have these weird company secrets.
Well, also, like, I mean, not really. No. Well, the thing is, a lot of people, they just want it delivered at their door. I've had women be flirty, and I've been like, well, maybe I should just
stay.
Yeah, stay and be like, hey, how you like that fucking pad thai?
In what way were they flirty?
They were just like, hey, nice face, bitch.
No, really, what did they say?
No, I think it's just an energy thing.
They're just like, oh, hey.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, hi.
And then I just left my food and left.
That might just be women being nice to you.
Sometimes you can tell the difference. A lot of times you can't.
I think a lot of times you can't.
Yeah, for sure. I think I know that most men can't tell the difference.
I had a girl deliver me Postmates, and then she was like, you want me to suck your dick right now? And I was like, you're just being nice to me. I know you don't really like me.
You ever have a woman just be like, you ask her out and you're like, yes, and then you're just like, and she's like, yes, and you're like, she just being nice? Because sometimes I think that. So I'm like, do you actually want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I like to believe women aren't still saying yes to dates just to be
I think
nice.
a lot of them are, yeah.
I think also sometimes it's not just to be nice as much as a woman will be like, well, I don't know, the jury's not out on this guy yet.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's not like a full yes.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a yes to the...
I got one of those yesterday.
To the interview.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of like, yeah, I'll let you apply. You
Yeah.
know, if you want to get a meal, I think it's really the answer is I could sit at a meal for an hour with this guy. And, you know, if it sucks, then it sucks. And if it's, you know, maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. There's more wanderlust.
Yeah.
With guys, it's more like, I've decided I would like to have sex with you.
Yeah.
And I would like to take this all the way.
Yeah.
And then a woman's more like, I understand your decision, and our date will then determine my decision on this.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure yet. So I don't think that's bad.
I
I just hope I would never... I'm okay with a woman being like, I would love to see how this goes.
Yeah.
What I would not like if they were like, I definitely don't like this guy.
Yeah.
But I will waste an hour with it. I would hate that.
I feel like that happened last month, maybe? Where
On
I
a
feel
date?
like a woman... Yeah, I feel like that happened, but maybe not.
I mean, it probably just means she gave you a chance.
Yeah,
And then she wasn't that into it.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, she definitely gave you a chance. She went out on the date.
Yeah.
I would hope the young women of 2023 aren't feeling an obligation to go on a date with any guy that asked.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think they are feeling that way.
Oh, I feel like it just depends on the self-esteem level.
I just offer them $100.
That's a good...
Do you want to go to coffee? And they go, no. And I go, well, maybe Mr. Benjamin Franklin could change your mind. And then they go...
One of the funniest things I did while I was blackout drunk, one time I thought it'd be, like, very funny to... This is back in Tennessee, to send every woman in my contacts, just a picture of my bank account balance with no message.
In a group chat?
No.
Separately?
Just separately. And I woke
up... Did you do
it
one at a time?
Yes. And I woke up and I was like, this is funny, but... And there's no way I thought this would work.
Did they laugh at? Did they just...
they thought it was funny.
I mean, it's a joke.
Yeah, clearly. But it's such a...
Did part of your brain think it would get you pussy? Was there a
I don't know. I was like so blackout that I was like, probably. But it's also like as much a bit as it was a...
That's almost... Yeah, that actually sucks.
Yeah.
Because then in your head, you're like, haha, this is funny, but maybe we'll give me some pussy.
Oh, yeah,
it's
basically.
Like, no, it won't.
Yeah, absolutely not.
How much was in the account?
Like $16,000.
Really?
Yeah, which I thought was funny because it's not enough to be impressive. But it's enough that someone could think it was impressive.
I'm sure those women knew tons of guys who would do that unironically, though.
Oh, yeah.
So they might have just thought you were trying to flex.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Where'd you get $16,000 from?
I worked at the same body shop for like 5 years.
And you just didn't spend any of the money?
Well, yeah. They would give us like free lunch sometimes. And also, it's just like, you know, a fucking... Because I didn't spend anything. I didn't spend shit. I would buy beer and I'd buy food.
One time I was...
And my rent was pretty cheap.
One time I went through a Taco Bell drive-thru kind of drunk. And I tipped them. I gave them like $10.
Yeah.
It's like $10 extra. I remember I drove away and then I just heard screaming. Which was either them laughing at me.
Yeah.
Or they were excited about the money. I think it was a mix of both. I think they were like, this dumb drunk guy just gave us money.
Yeah.
I don't know who got the tip. You know, I don't know. I didn't really care who it went to. But I was just
because
like...
there's a lot of moving parts in there.
I think because I remember is I ordered a meal, and then right when I got up to the window, it was already ready. And I was like, wow. And I just really was into it. I think I gave him a big bill and didn't ask for change. I was just like, you just keep that.
Oh.
One time I was at a 7-Eleven with my friend, and we were like, this is like before we were even 18. So we were just like skating and like buying like Arizona iced teas. And he was buying like a purchase that was like probably not more than $3. And then he gave the guy some dollars and some change. And then he said, keep the change.
Yeah.
And then the guy counted it and he goes, this isn't enough for what you want to buy. This is less money. And he did it cocky too. He's like, keep the change. And started walking away. And the guy was like, wait, you have not paid and I think I had to pay for it. He was like, "You didn't pay. You did not pay." And he did it he wasn't even doing a bit. He has a lot of weird, my friend Noah has a lot of weird like service interactions. He said he went to New York, went to an Italian restaurant, ordered a chicken piccata, and then he had like an Aquafina for a waitress. It was like an Asian woman that talked like she was from the Bronx.
Yeah.
And so he goes, "Can I get the chicken piccata?" And she goes, "Yo, what's that? A slice?" And he goes, "What do you? No, it's chicken piccata. It's not a type of pizza." And she goes, "Yeah, I ain't never heard of that." And then he was like, "It's on the menu." And she was like, "Nah," and didn't get him the chicken piccata. It was like on the menu, and she was like, "Nah, I don't know anything about that." And then another time, I think also in New York, he said he went to a restaurant, asked for a water. She came back with a mug of hot water, and then he took a sip and was like, "Wait, what?" And then she came back over, and he was like, "Can I get cold water?" And she was like, "Oh, you wanted it cold? Damn. Okay, yeah." And then got him cold water.
She just assumed he was carrying around tea packets.
She just assumed the water he wanted was hot. That's crazy.
Was it cold outside?
There's never a situation where that's okay. There's never.
I don't know. I'm kind of on her side here.
Even if it's snowing.
He didn't specify he wanted cold water.
If it's snowing outside and you wanted a warm
You should have ordered ice water.
That's crazy. If it's snowing outside and you want a warm beverage, you're not going to be like, "Just give me warm water."
Have you heard the phrase, "people in hell want ice water"? Like, when you want something? My dad used to say that all the time.
What does that really even mean, though?
Where it's like, if you want something, it's like, well, people in hell want ice water. It's like, am I in hell?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that what you're telling me?
Well, that doesn't make sense because those people are in hell.
Yeah,
of
course
they want things to be better.
Yeah.
That doesn't make... It's like
a weird folksy thing. My dad would always say these weird folksy things.
Yeah, but why would the people in hell deserve water?
I don't know, man. They've been there forever.
It's just funny because a lot of parents would be like, "Well, there are kids in Africa that are dying," meaning like there are people suffering more than you, so don't complain. But your dad is just going like, "Well, people in hell have it pretty bad," and you're like, "Yeah, it's hell. People in Africa are victims."
Or you're just asking for food, and he's like, "Well, I can't say people starving kids in Africa, so
why?" Yeah, it's like, why not? Why would you go to hell? Hell are not people that. It's not a worthy comparison. Well, okay. What time are we at?
I feel like the podcast is about...
Yeah, we did an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's appropriate. We don't have anything we got to cut.
No, I think it was pretty boring. But I think people...
Yeah, I think we didn't do as much riffing as we should have.
No, we weren't very funny, but I like that because it shows that we're not desperate and that we're just social commentators.
Yeah,
we're just giving our social commentary.
I don't know, maybe there's some stuff in there people will laugh at.
Yeah, and maybe next week will be more fun, or I don't know. We'll just see how the social strata is. If it's still stigmatized.
Yeah.
Because if that shit's, do you remember?
Well, we might need more opening bits because that might get us in a funnier mood.
I do want to ask about this. This isn't like an attempt to do a bit. I just do remember like a year or so ago. It's when you were still drinking. You texted me at like 3 a.m. when you were like really drunk one time.
Yeah.
And I forget exactly what you asked, but you were like, "What's up with the avant-garde?" What was? I don't know. Do you remember the question exact? I don't know what the question was. I think you just asked me. You were like, "What do you think of the avant-garde? Like, do you think the
Oh, yeah, there was an argument with my roommates over what it meant.
Yeah, that was the argument, right? Just literally what it meant, which is like you could just Google the definition of avant-garde.
Well, Mikey didn't know what avant-garde meant, so Joseph was making fun of him, so I wanted to see... I just wanted to see someone else's definition of it.
And I also liked the way you were saying it. You kept saying the avant-garde, which is a term people use, but you were sort of referring to like the collection of people who make up the avant-garde sphere.
The argument was whether or not Woody Allen was avant-garde, which me and Joseph were saying he was not, and Mikey was trying to say Annie Hall very avant-garde.
Yeah, I think that's just like a Southern guy seeing like a movie about New York, and being like, "This is avant-garde."
Yeah,
because for the time that's just like relationship humor. It's definitely not avant-garde.
Well, I guess a bunch of stuff where it's like he like brings in smart guys to like debate somebody that's like stupid in a line.
Yeah, I mean, his style of filmmaking is, I guess, like a little French and artistic.
Yeah, but it's not avant-garde.
But I wouldn't say it's avant. The style is like maybe, it's not like a fucking Marvel movie, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the subject matter itself is not like it's not like I guess David Lynch is avant-garde, right? Like Eraserhead is avant-garde.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Inland Empire.
Yeah, so yeah, like that subject matter is avant-garde.
I like that we got on camera me hawking up a loogie and then deciding to just eat it instead.
Well, that's your decision. You've been doing a lot of that into the mic this episode.
Making loogies?
I would like our podcast to be a little more avant-garde. Like maybe, okay, how about this? Like the next podcast, it opens and the table and the chairs are empty. We're not here.
Yeah.
But then it flashes and we're like in the seats, but only for like half a second.
It's in black and white too.
And then there's like a scary violin, like a like kind of sound, and we flash for a second, and then it goes like dark, and then like it flashes again, but instead of us, it's like two demons.
Okay.
And then it flashes again, and it's like Joe Biden's face followed by a picture of like a Vietnamese guy's penis.
Okay.
And then like black background, white letters, and it says like, who are you gonna vote for? And then it says #Coney2024.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Would that be avant-garde, or are we, because
that's kind of Woody Allen-esque.
Is being a comedy podcast, does that trap us from ever being avant-garde? Because if we try to be avant-garde, people would just think we're like being sarcastic about it or something.
Yeah, I guess everything we do would be ironic.
Is being fluent in sarcasm avant-garde? That's kind of avant-garde because you're just trying to ask.
Damn, that sucks that the podcast name can't be fluent in sarcasm.
Yeah, that does. Because it's like you're trying to ask a guy a normal question, but he's so sarcastic that it's almost avant-garde.
Hey, ask me a question.
How's your day been?
Great.
But you don't mean that.
No, I don't.
Whoa.
I don't mean that at all.
Very avant-garde.
I mean the opposite of
that. Oh, shit.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Ask me how I feel about Israel and Palestine.
Oh, okay. How do you feel about Israel-Palestine?
They're both great.
That's an interesting form. I don't know. Sarcasm's interesting when it's such a controversial. I don't know. Can you be sarcastic about something that's like so controversial? I don't really know if there's
motherfucker, I'm fluent in sarcasm. I'm motherfucking fluent. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what is the place for a guy in the Israel-Palestine debate if he's fluent in sarcasm? If like he's in the debate and he's like, oh no, Israel should totally be there and Hamas is only good guys, and they're just like, it seems like you're on both sides.
Oh yeah, Hamas, real smart of you to put your bases underneath children's hospitals. Really, really bold.
Yeah, no real.
Oh yeah, Hamas, keep using human shields.
Oh yeah, no, I guess getting hostages by bombs is the way to do it.
Yeah.
And you're like on CNN, and everybody's just like, this motherfucker has not said one genuine thing, and he's going after both sides.
This is the most sarcastic motherfucker we've ever had on fucking CNN.
That would be cool if, like, Norman...
After Sandy Hook, they're just like, wow, really great this happened.
Yeah.
We love this.
Maybe we should start a news channel that's like, we're fluent in sarcasm. Where we're like, oh yeah, great, now those kids don't get to grow up. Love that.
Oh yeah, so fantastic that the parents are sad.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, let's keep guns for sure. Oh, maybe if we gave them to the teachers, then maybe this would help.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's not give mental health, any of that to any of the guys who want to kill people.
Is that just the Colbert Show? The Comedy Central
Colbert
one?
is the original fluent in sarcasm.
He was kind of just fluent in sarcasm for like 8 years straight, pretending to be a conservative guy. I mean, honestly, I'm one of those guys that when I see somebody doing satire, I go, "Oh, so you're fluent in sarcasm?" And they're like, "Well, I'm a satirist," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay."
Yeah, I'm an artsy guy.
Yeah.
Oh sure.
Man, we have got to be more sarcastic on this podcast.
What
if we interview somebody?
Well, I'm pretty sure. What's his name? Who's that gay motherfucker who wrote the picture of Dorian Gray?
Oh, I don't know.
Who's that motherfucker? He said sarcasm's the lowest form of wit. Yeah, real smart one. Yeah, real smart take.
That's your response. The sarcastic guy's podcast response to his statement.
To Oscar Wilde.
Very smart.
Oh, yeah, Oscar Wilde. I bet he had a huge penis on him.
We should interview somebody.
I bet Saddam Hussein had a real big penis.
We should interview somebody and be sarcastic for the entire hour.
Yeah.
And see if we could get like a...
Oh, your fly's not down.
It's not even sarcasm. That's like...
And there's not shit all over your dick. How'd you get so smart when you got no shit on your dick?
So that's this kind of sarcasm that implicitly accuses them of having shit on their dick. Yeah, we get like...
Just going up to a random guy being like, I bet you weren't racist at all.
Yeah. We get... Oh, okay. I was going to say we get a big guest, but maybe we just get a normal guy. And then he's like, yeah, I'm a father of 3. And we're like, oh, yeah, I bet you haven't fucked anybody without their permission. I bet everybody you fucked, you've had their permission. And then he's like a father of 3. And he's like, I don't know why I agreed to do this. And we're like, oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I bet you're very busy with all the charity work you do. You definitely aren't a prolific serial assaulter.
Yeah.
Idiot. And then
yeah. Oh, I bet you totally never go home and hold a gun up against your wife's head. I bet you never do that shit. Smart guy.
And he's like, I don't. And then he tries to get up and leave, and we're like, where the fuck you going? And
yeah, where you going? The child pornography store?
Yeah.
You going to go buy child? You go? Oh, motherfucker's got some child pornography. Going to take it to the 3D printer at the library.
Man, we should rename this podcast the Child Pornography Store. It's a new every week. New stuff from the Child Pornography Store, just so people know that we.
It's fluent in sarcasm, though, because we're the opposite of child pornography, and we don't sell it.
We're fluent in sarcasm. Guys that like child porn would not like this podcast.
They would hate it because we're adults.
There's like nothing for them.
They'd look at us and be like, "These are some young guys," and then they'd watch it and be like, "No, these guys aren't young enough."
They're so nasty.
Yeah,
they don't have any of that innocence I like.
What we should do is just make sure we have no pedophiles on the podcast. We should get a little sign and it says 18 on it and just pull it up so it scares them.
Every guest we have on the podcast, we need to check their ID on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be like, let me just see your ID. And they're like, what? And we're like, hey.
Hey, we're trying to not get the pedophile market over here.
I ain't trying to go to jail for no pussy.
Yeah.
God damn. All right. Well, yeah, we'll be back next week.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening.
We felt like we had to get a good riff in, so let's go.
Let's give it up for that.